The Hold Fast Social Club presents So You're Kinda a Big Deal with your hosts, Shawn, Hedley, and Dave. Welcome to So You're Kinda a Big Deal, a weekly podcast deep diving into the lives of emerging and established tattoo artists. Listen in as we dig into origin stories, industry hot topics, and what it takes to survive in the world of tattooing. This is Tattoo Shop Talk. It's funny, it's crass, inspiring, and sometimes we get it right. Join your hosts Shawn, Hedley, and Dave Allen every week as we host a new guest.
Hey guys, I'm Dave Allen. I brought you the Hold Fast Stay Gold docuseries. I've been a tattoo artist and shop owner for over 20 years. This industry has changed a lot. I think I have a new service that's going to benefit us all. It's called the Hold Fast Social Club. So the Hold Fast Social Club for a studio owner is a matchmaking service. You've got an empty chair in your studio and you want to fill it because you're losing revenue every month. And your only way to attract people now is through Instagram. And Instagram hasn't worked for most of us in quite a few years. And it's really hard to vet people unless you know who they've worked for. Hold Fast Social Club is a service that will vet and match people to your needs. So if you're like me and you have an empty chair in your studio, or maybe you just want to host more guest artists, sign up at Hold Fast Social Club. Fill in a profile. It's free. Let us help you find better people, better fit, and make better choices.
Yeah. Oh, you know what I gotta say? I gotta give a shout out to all the people that fucking texted me and emailed me to point out that I misspelled big in the podcast that we recorded.
You fucking retard.
Thanks, people, for pointing out the fucking grammar. I'm an artist. I think, Rob Hope was helping me that day. He was doing the credits.
That's why you don't see me doing any script.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
It's the smartest choice to go. It's like,
yeah.
I just wanted to give a quick shout out to some of the locals here and everywhere. I know a lot of people knew Ben Allway, our super awesome laser tech that we had in Edmonton. He's no longer with us, and I know the guys at Urge and Johnny specifically lost a very close friend.
Shitty
week. So I just wanted to, shout out condolences to everybody that had ever come into contact with Ben, because he was a pretty fucking cool dude. So
yeah, he looked like one of those real ones,
Yeah, he was fucking hilarious, man. Getting lasered by that guy was awesome. Sucks when you have him doing it, because just the shit that comes out of his mouth was amazing. So
oh fuck.
Yeah. So shout out to Johnny and his crew and everybody. I know that they lost a really close and dear friend. So yeah.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah. Sorry to start that on a bummer, guys. But anyway, Mr. Damian Robertson, tell us all about yourself.
Yeah, well, I'm Damian Robertson. A lot of people, I don't know. I've been watching all these podcasts, and everybody's got like these cool origin stories. I've always been into tattooing in the sense of like when even out of high school, like I always enjoyed it. Like I got my first tattoo in high school, but
where'd you get tattooed?
Artistic Impressions in St. Catharines, Ontario. It's the same shop that I actually ended up doing my apprenticeship at a few years later after I got out of the military. So same shop
cool.
Andrew McDonald went through too.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah.
The name's familiar.
Yeah, so we went through basically the same time. We were both doing our apprenticeships at the same time, just a different shop. It was they had a shop in St. Catharines, one in Welland, and one in Niagara Falls, Ontario. So, and that's kind of where I started out. But I got denied from shops before I started there. But I was in the military at the time, and when we got like finished basic training. I got posted to Petawawa, which is about 2 hours north of Ottawa. And
Yeah.
this is 98, so it's kind of peacetime. There's not too much going on, lots of training. But on the off time, it's like all the guys that I'm with, because we were in the infantry, it was just everybody's like drinking, tattoos. Everybody's getting covered in just shitty tattoos, good tattoos. There was guys tattooing in their rooms, in the shacks, and it was like,
Oh my
it was
God.
fucking like, yeah. So it's like, it was still art, tattoos and army guys. Yeah. Like, I'm like, you're up in Edmonton, like,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, like we like our tattoos. So
What was the tattoo shop there? Was that was Dragon's Den
the
still
Wizard's
there?
Den, yeah.
Wizard's Den, yeah.
Or was it the drink? No, Wizard's Den. Yeah, no, it was because
Okay.
yeah, Ivan Henderson.
Yes.
Yes, and
Yeah.
he actually just recently passed away, like last year,
Oh,
year
no.
before. Yeah, so
How long he must have had that shop for, God, like 30 years.
he had that shop, and it was literally a 300-meter off base. You had the front gates to the base, and 300 meters across the bridge was the bar, his shop, and then Tim Hortons. So I mean, like, if you wanted a coffee, you're driving by his shop, and if you wanted a tattoo, you needed to go to his shop. So I had a friend who was it was crazy, and I mean, like, it was a walk-in shop. Was doing walk-ins, but he was also doing big work at the time too. So first time I really kind of saw big tattoos being done, in that kind of style. But we're all army guys, so we're all broke. Like, if you want tattoos, they're little ones, and yeah, can I put that on layaway? Like, shit, like, I'm in the army, bro. I'm like, we don't get paid nothing.
So there's I train up at the garrison a lot, and there is a Canex credit place.
Yeah.
And they have a huge fucking sign because they give military people credit to get tattooed.
Crazy. Yeah. No, yeah. You didn't join the military to make money. That's for sure. So, so I joined thinking I was going to become a firefighter, and they're like, you know what, you're going to do 3 years and in the infantry first, and then it's easier to just go over and be a firefighter. And then, the first grenade I threw, I'm like, yeah, no, this is it. Sendo. I'm like, I'm about this all day. I'm like, let's blow some shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the hangout. I bring coffees to the shop to Ivan all the time. I get to know his son, his daughter, who are also tattooing right now, and his wife, Lisa. And, over time, you just see that. And by the time I got out of the military, I didn't think any of this art thing would be a thing. I was kind of injured and just kind of didn't know what to do. But the military, when you get out, offered me 2 years of schooling. So I took art and graphic design at Niagara College. So 2 years.
What year did you get out?
I got out in 2002, November 2002. I was in 98. So I was got in 98. I did my first tour in Kosovo, and that was in 99 to 2000. And so that was pretty gnarly experience because I was only 21 at the time. So, you're thinking you're 10 feet tall and bulletproof going over with your buddies, and you're carrying a, M16 with a grenade launcher, and it's like, sweet, we're going to fucking, take it to our enemies, a lot of running and gunning kind of stuff. But, you're young and dumb, and you think you're, a commando and shit. So
in the movies.
Yeah, it's definitely not that. A lot of romance going on with that type of stuff. So, but like working with some good people, we got to do a lot of really good things over there. And I have a lot of love for my service. And yeah, I got to travel Europe on one of my leaves. So I traveled Europe. I started in Rome. I got on a train and I went bing, 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 like Paris, all the way through Germany and like up to Amsterdam. Stayed in Amsterdam for a little bit longer than maybe I should have. That's a really, really cool town. I got tattooed there. I saw Hanky Panky, and this is in like I think it was Hanky Panky because I remember seeing in magazines later. I'm like, I was totally in that shop and I didn't know what it was. I'm like, son of a bitch. but it's pretty cool looking back on it. And I got tattooed in the red light district, and you're on leave,
Cool.
you're just getting tattooed and walking around and seeing what Europe has to do. And this is before cell phones and everything too, right? Like now walking around taking pictures and everything, you're like really taking everything in. Saw the Van Gogh Museum.
Yeah.
And Europe was awesome. So
yeah, cool. And what year was that?
That was 99 and 2000. So actually this is January 2000, because on my way back from that trip, I got into a train wreck. The train crashed, and that's what ended my military career, basically.
Shit.
Yeah, so that was in Cologne, Germany, and it was a night train. And I got on this train about half hour later. The train was doing 120 kilometers an hour, crashed into a train station.
That's crazy. 9
people dead, 150 seriously injured. I ended up pulling out a whole bunch of people. And that's why I have PTSD, because and that's kind of why I work alone too, because I just have to deal with like that aspect of myself. So but that was pretty crazy. So, and that was on middle of my tour. So that happens. I get back to Kosovo. I'm there a couple of weeks, and my back's kind of messed up. And they're like, "Yeah, you're gone. You're going back home. Like, you're pretty messed up, and not much you can really do." And I got a couple pictures from that. Like, oh, dude, like I pulled people out of that fucking thing. And so after that, it was like, you can't do your job anymore. 9/11 happened, and we're all sitting there ready to go. We all got put on 24 hours notice to move and, like go somewhere and go to war or something. And a lot of the people who were injured or whatnot were like, you're not going anywhere. You're rocking a chair for the rest of your career. And it's like, well, fuck that. I'm like, not doing that, So I got a medical leave, and they paid for my school, and I took art because I was always drawing. I was always into art. I just never thought I could make money in art. So it was like, I'm going to join the military and let them pay for my shit. So right.
So then, what year did you start your apprenticeship? Then around 2005.
2005, and that was kind of like I went in. I met the owner. I showed him some of my work, told him I just finished art school, and I had this portfolio of like just pretty much the stuff they made us do in art school. And, it was like, well, everything's off the wall here. So you're already kind of like a little bit more trained than most people coming in. So come back next month and we'll see what we say. I'm like, all right, the typical kind of like, we're going to brush you off. And if you actually come back, we'll see what's up. So next month I was waiting there for, military fashion, 15 minutes before the door opens, sitting there pretty much at attention. Like, you still want to talk? He's like, oh shit. I'm like, you're back. Cool. All right. That never works like that. All right. And it turns out it was the guy who actually gave me my first tattoo before I went into the Army. So it was like, that was kind of neat. So
that's rad.
Yeah, it was a shop. There's like 3 artists at the time, plus a manager and running the shop. But it was like you get to learn how to scrub tubes, make needles. Like we didn't have a thermofax machine, so all the stencils were hand bombs, and
I'm curious, how did your military training help you in your apprenticeship, and how did that rub everybody else in the shop?
I'm still dealing with that. That's another, it's definitely, there was a hard transition there, becoming like, all right, I'm doing a lot of hardcore stuff to be like, now I got to draw this butterfly for this girl, make sure it's on her ankle perfectly, and, be sensitive. It's like the exact opposite of what I trained for in my life. So, and that acts, it was tough. I definitely had a few moments where, guys would pull me aside and be like, you can't talk to people like that. They're not troops. I'm like, roger that. All right, move along. But it's been something I've struggled with. Anybody who's worked with me knows I struggle with it. I don't mean any harm with it. It's just kind of like, well, when you go into the Army at 18, you're just a certain way you're going to be, right? So it's just something that, my wife and I work really well together. So, but
I can't imagine what that's like. You go in, you're young and they're training you to go over and fight and kill the enemy, and then you have to be with tattooing incredibly empathetic and considerate, and that's got to be a challenge. Like it is for most of us, right?
It
Like,
is, absolutely.
let alone.
I think my time overseas, though, too, made me more empathetic to people because I saw people who had like no power, no running electricity. It's minus 24 out, it's in the mountains, and like I'm watching this old lady and a man in apartment buildings, get into a firefight almost over a tree that's in the middle of their lawn because they have no firewood. Now, none of them have an axe to cut down this tree, but they're ready to kill each other over it. So, we come in, we take their guns, and then we chop down the tree and give them firewood. And it's like, well, there, we just saved you for the rest of that cold spell. But, like, you become empathetic to the human condition of, like, just trying to survive. But, people are just people everywhere, And you travel Europe, and,
Absolutely.
you travel enough tattooing, it's like, it's the same stories over and over. We all got one. And, most of them are pretty cool. And then people, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like, it's,
how did
go ahead, sir.
Sorry. How did your training help you with tattooing? Like, there's a lot of discipline you would have got in the military that a lot of us just did not have when we got into tattooing.
I just showed up every day.
That's got to work for you.
I just showed up every day. Like, my apprenticeship was like 7-8 months long, 6 days a week, no pay. And I started at, I think, like 9:30 in the morning till like 9 at night every day. 6 days a week,
Wow.
So, I mean, like, and I paid my dues that way. And then I learned how to do flash. My first tattoo machine was from a crackhead for $120 with an old National Tattoo power supply, which I wish I still had because the thing was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just showed up. So I saw how much their potential for this was, and just showing up and doing your homework and being on time, and people are really gravitate towards that. So I mean, like, I think that's where my military training came in. They're like, if you're in the army and you're 15 minutes late for something that you were supposed to be 15 minutes early for, now you're half hour late, right? So, and if you had a really shitty sergeant or somebody who didn't like you, then they start charging you. And what they do is they charge your pay for all the time you're late. So, hey, if you're late again, we're going to dock you a month's pay. I'm like, you fucking right, I'm going to be early. I'm like, I'm not making anything. But that's how they discipline you, because you're in a different military setting, right? So, or you just don't show up and it's like, cool, now you're spending a month in jail. Fuck you. Plus I'm taking your pay. It's like, oh, cool. It's a different lifestyle. So for me, I was always paranoid. I always show up early. I'm always on time. I'm always prepared. Even for my clients here, like, my shop's already cleaned at like 9 in the morning, and they don't show up till 11 and everything's ready to go. Just on the off chance they fly in early and they're, all right, let's go, So, but
yeah,
totally.
I'm
up at 5 every morning. I can't stop that. It sucks. We're like, I sleep until 10. I'm like, must be nice to have no life, but I can't fucking do it, buds, So
yeah,
no, me neither.
I slept until 6:15 today. It felt good.
Yeah, right.
Oh fuck!
You're like, all right, I think I deserve that. All right, time to get up and do something.
Totally. Heaven forbid you fall back asleep, because then it just fucks the rest of your day up. You're just groggy as fuck.
Well, that's it. It's this is that type of job, and it's all you in the hustle game, right? So I get up and I do.
What were your aspirations as an apprentice and as a new tattooer? Did you have a vision when you started out of kind of where you wanted to go, or was it just kind of work through it and see?
I had no idea about the tattoo world. Even about a year and a half into my tattoo apprenticeship, I had no idea what was going on. Because all I had was magazines in our shop, kind of thing. And we didn't have social media except for Ink Nation. And we've been on there, and it was less than polite, let's just say. I mean, like, there's a lot of big names who are calling me an asshole on that fucking page for doing little tattoos, you know, and it's like, okay, well, this will learn me. Good thing I was in the military
Yep.
because I got thick skin, but I mean, like, if I see you in public, bro.
We're gonna have a talk.
I'm so glad
That
that's
was like
it.
the
Yeah, that site's not around anymore, thank God. So, yeah.
Yeah, that was like the Reed Street forums. I'm like, man, you guys are saying a lot of shit for people who got to be at a convention later this year.
Right? Yeah.
Right.
Eventually, we're going to meet. I'm like, yeah,
Advertising where you're going to be.
Cool. Okay. Good
Yeah.
to know.
Oh, you're going to be at this convention, this convention, this convention. Fuck, I can fly down to that one.
Yeah. All your.
Well, remember they started doing the boxer challenge at the Austin convention, and tattooers started fucking boxing each other and shit.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Hilarious. So funny.
Yeah. No, that's a different time, right? So.
Yeah. So how long? So you did your apprenticeship about 7 months. How long were you at that shop?
2 years, like from start to finish, kind of thing. And then I moved up to the welding shop. It was really slow, but you're up by the college, so there was a lot of like. September was a good month because everybody got their college funds, you know, for the year, and then got about a month's worth of like, but it's all little stuff, like just literal off the wall stuff, like old Aaron Kane flash,
Jeff Bartels.
lots of. Well, when you see him walk into the shop, you're like, dude, I know you're paying my wage today, but fuck you, bro.
Yes.
There's only so many stonework
rock armbands.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah. Or the, you know, just the butterflies with the pixie tail, you know, like, yeah, I know. As soon as they come in, it's like, I know which one you want. I don't need a stencil. Let's just do it. We're good to go.
Actually, I've already set up with the stencil made.
Yeah, it's really. I got a stack
it's all
of
in
them.
here. I got the matrix. It's all in here. So yeah, I was there for 2 years, and then I left that shop after the first Toronto tattoo convention that I went to. Shige was there, and he had a corner booth, and I just sat there for like 5 hours straight while I did this big dragon. And the first time I ever saw anybody use magnums, and I just kind of like, whoa, like, dude, like, what the. I couldn't understand what I was looking at, like all these amazing artists, because I was kind of sheltered in that shop because there was a lot of flesh shops in town, and everybody just wanted to keep their kind of like corner of the market in the cities kind of thing. I think kind of like in that aspect, you know, everybody was kind of like, it wasn't like buddy, how it is out here where I can just walk in the shop like, hey bro, here's a bottle of scotch. Love you. All right, see you later. You know, out there, it's like, you walk near my fucking, you know, you walk near my shop and it's like, we're gonna have words. I'm like, all right, stand back, you know? So I left that shop, and the rule was, you know, you don't work in the same town. So I moved to Burlington, Ontario, and I started working with Bailey Moffat at Acres Tattoo. And Bailey was cool. She was super fun to work with, and she could draw a fucking demon. She was drawing circles around me, and she's like, hey, I got all this work. Here you go. I'm like, lots of work here. So, and then, you know, I got a raise because the shop rate they were charging was significantly different from working in the flash shop and whatnot. So I was like, oh, okay. And then got my first real machines from there that weren't from Crackhead, and I bought myself an Aaron Kane machine. I bought myself Workhorse irons, Soba shader, the copper one, and did my first real panther tattoo, and I was just blown away. It's like, oh, that's what a tattoo's supposed to look like, eh? Cool. All right, that's neat. That's a lot easier too. Yeah, cool. Just
I want to dial this back a bit. We kind of skipped over the fact that you were not using mags for 2 years.
All rounds.
Into your tattoo.
All rounds.
I really want to flesh that out a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like all rounds. Everything mostly was rounds. I still use mostly rounds for everything. I use a lot of mag work, but for like a lot of color packing, I just find it's easier to use like, you know, 14 or an 18 round shader and just pack it in that way. And it's just for the way I work, and even how I render my drawings, it's like pencil crayon. So it's just a lot easier. There's a lot more muscle memory. So I think it's a lot easier for me to try to do it that way than try to, you know, manipulate mags. But yeah, I remember my one guy who was working next to me, Bill, Bill McVeigh, and he got himself a really nice Aaron Kane shader, and he's like, the first time you hear it running, it's like, oh, that sounds really nice. Hitting the skin, you're like, ooh, damn, what are you doing over there? I'm like, kind of peek in, and he's like, I'm using a mag. I'm like, cool. I'm like, all right. So watching him use mags, and then he's like all bragging about it. It's like, I used mag today. Look at this cool tattoo. He's like, yeah, that's fucking awesome, bro. I'm like, I want to use mags, and it's like, there's always like a little bit like we're trying to figure it out because, like I said, this was 2005, so.
And Ontario was really closed, like you
Yeah.
mentioned it earlier, but I think Shawn can attest to this too. That Ontario was really, you weren't getting information from anyone else around you except for the shop you're in.
It was really hard. I'm like, I'd even ask them like, who are these guys, in Toronto? And they're like, don't worry about it. You're working, you're doing tattoos here. They're yeah, whatever. I'm like, you don't need to get tattooed. Don't worry about it. It's like
there was a little bit of crossover in Toronto in the early days, of course, just because of small circles of friends, Scott McEwen, along with the tribe, like Ron from like Way Cool Tattoo and stuff like that. A lot of us, we all hung out at the same bar, so there was a little bit, but yeah, we weren't crossing over, and like I wasn't walking into Way Cool to visit.
No.
I see the bar, right?
Yeah, and that was the thing. When I was at Anchors with Bailey, it was just heads down. I go work a full 8 hours, and then I go home and I draw till like 11, 12 at night, and then do it again. And I was like, this is fucking awesome. I'm like, I'm not getting shot at. This is fucking great. I'm making money. I'm like, and anybody gives me attitude, I got way more than they got, so we're good. But yeah, no, it was good. But yeah, it was like watching Shige actually using mags, and I'm like, the fuck is that? I'm like, all right, cool. And went back to the shop. I'm like, we need mags. We need this. I'm like, and then you had to order the steel tubes, and then everything was like, there's no disposables at this point, right? So yeah, it was a cool time.
It was a big commitment. A big commitment. You probably had to spend like $500 on needles and grips just to fucking try them.
And then I think at the point, like I worked with Bailey for a year, and that's when I knew I wanted to move out west. Like that was always my dream. That was always a big thing for me. I'm like, I'm gonna get out west. I'm gonna get out to the mountains. I'd seen them when I'm younger. I'm like, there's just some way I'm gonna pretty tenacious when I want to do something. So I usually make it happen. So I ended up, finding Perfect Image, which was another chain shop that's just like gives just the way that it kind of run, just like wasn't like a nice shop where you really have this rapport with your clients. It was like a lot of traffic, holiday traffic, because it was in Banff. So I ended up selling everything I owned in Ontario, except for my snowboard and my tattoo machine, and moved out to Banff and was living in a little 400 square foot apartment above the shop. And I was snowboarding and tattooing every day for a couple of years. So
nice.
Yeah,
that's the dream.
Yeah, I was just trying to deal with my military shit and tattoo at the same time. So it's like, oh, I can go out to the mountains and lots of places to expend some energy and good energy, so I've always loved it out here, and I still love Alberta. It was a long winter, but I love it here.
So you were in Banff then when Andrew then also traveled there and started working there?
Andrew who?
Andrew McDonald.
Oh yes,
Andrew
yeah,
McDonald.
because I was working there and I told him about that place, so he came out work with me. We were also working with Derek Turcott at the time. Rich Andrews came out at the time.
Yeah, I love it.
It's funny. Yeah, so it was a fun crew. We had a really fun time there. The way they ran the shop was questionable, but I mean, like they were there to make fucking money in a resort town. So like you open anything like that, that's pretty much the expectation. Like you're gonna pay way more than you should, but it's Banff, so that's what they said. Like it's Banff. So Yeah, I was working there for a good little chunk. Then I got just dealing with my own military stuff. I never dealt with it very well in my career or anything, so I had this kind of like back and forth going with my brain for the last couple of years. Just bad doctors, bad advice, whatnot. But I had a really fun time. Ended up meeting Dustin Poole and Kyle Staub, and both really, really awesome people. And doing a stint at Sacred Balance for about 8 months. So,
Oh, cool.
Okay.
that was back when it was
Was that the downstairs
it had
shop?
an upstairs shop, and it was in this parlor. It was 2 floors. So it was
Okay, yeah.
Dustin Poole, Kyle Staub was right next to me, myself, Ryan Krebs. Downstairs was Ryan Gagne, Dustin, and um, uh, Kyle Chalik. And then we had a massage table or massage. We had a piercer there. That was a rowdy shop. But that was a time before kind of social media was like just kind of like Facebook times, you know. So, that was like,
Yeah.
and it was right down on 17th. So it was like every night after work, after tattooing, go down to the bars, hand out business cards, really try to get business, So,
That was just up from 14th Street,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
really cool
Yeah.
shop, and the layout on it was freaking awesome. It was just really rowdy, and for my kind of like militaristic kind of like I do things a certain way every day. It's just, definitely after a time wasn't me, and I just didn't deal with like certain things very well. But that was just the way the time was. Like you have to really fucking hustle back then to like get tattoos in the door,
Yeah.
So you're out
Yeah.
every night, and it's like you get up in the morning, you're waking up at your buddy's house, and it's like, go get breakfast, go to the shop. All right, cool. Get ready for the day, get yourself all ready and stuff like that. You still smell like the bar from the night before, but fucking whatever, getting after it, So I think that was 2009. 2009. So.
Okay. Yeah. I would have just left Bushido probably when you started at Sacred Balance. Because then I ended up at Classic Tattoo, and then Ryan had just left Sacred Balance, went to Immaculate, and then we took him from Immaculate to Red Deer. So yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I've been able to work with some amazing fucking people, and seen some really crazy shit. And it's like, all right on, bro. Like, cool stories.
Yeah. So I remember you have your back piece done by Miles, and I remember you came to Lucky Strike actually when I worked there.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And I remember you were like super intense, and you were just getting your back done. Where were you? That would have been. Were you at Sacred Balance still then, or you were back in Canmore?
I think I was back in Canmore at that point. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I'll tell you. I mean, like, you don't deal with your problems deal with you, So at that point, I was dealing with a lot of problems. I was getting tattooed a lot just to like, hey, sometimes you just got to feel it, right? You feel that pain. And so I was getting tattooed by Miles, and then ended up opening or getting picked up and working with Hedley for about a year. And again, just amazing fucking shop. I love those guys with all my heart. Dino's amazing. James, I was watching Anthony go through his apprenticeship, and I'm just like, oh, I wish I had that. Like, just like, it wasn't, you could see it wasn't a pushover. Like, that dude earned every stripe he's got, and the stuff he's putting out right now is just so freaking mind-blowing, beautiful. I see it come in my shop all the time. We have some similar clients, and it's just like, fucking right on, bro. Like, straight up. So good. So, but I mean, like, that's a high-performance shop. It's a high-performance atmosphere, and, there's no bad tattoos there. So, with my back pains and stuff, I was driving in from Banff every day to work there for, like, almost a year, and I mean, like, my doctors give me bad pills and everything. I'm driving on that shit every day, plus doing my drawings at night when I drive home. So I'm doing like 3 hours of driving a day to work there. And then I just moved my family up from Ontario. So they're like, we're not moving fucking again. We can't do it. So ended up leaving there, broke my heart. Still does, but it is what it is. We ended up opening our own shop, just more of like I'd say like more of like a reaction, not as a plan, you know. So got our shop open, loved it, beautiful spot, got a Canmore and everything like that. Yeah, and that was fun. Derek came to work with us, Michael Brito, Bronny Gray, Miles Mack, you know, and we had a great crew for a time.
Super solid.
It was a good time.
That
The only thing that wasn't solid was me. That was the big common denominator. Again, military shit. I ended up I was on like a lot of meds for my military stuff that a lot of the guys didn't know about. I ended up going cold turkey in 2014, not telling anybody. So,
Oh fuck.
yeah. So trying to run a shop and do all that and like get off pain meds and just get myself healthy. You know, it was pretty rough. So it's not fun to work around an army guy who's pissed off all the time. So it's ended up shutting down the shop. Derek opened up Electric Grizzly, and I ended up moving back to the city trying to get some help. So, yeah.
And you ended up is it Ghost Town that you went
No,
to?
it was Honor Bound Tattoos.
Honor Bound,
Yeah.
that's it. Sorry,
Yeah,
yeah.
Honor Bound. So Kyle Staub owns that place with Andrew Graham,
Yeah.
and Kyle's my best friend. He was my best man at my wedding. We've been friends ever since we met. It's just kind of like, yeah, bro, you know, you got one of those. If you do, you're very lucky,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah, I do a podcast with
yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Right.
You do another podcast? You have another podcast?
Yeah.
I do. With this guy.
From 5 to 6 every night.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
So, Damian, around that time that you were working in Canmore and Calgary, I think that's kind of around the time that we might have met the first time, and it was when your work really came into my sphere. And what I always noticed about your work was that it was kind of like it's making sense with you talking now, but it was even today, it looks like a cross between Shige. There's James Tech's influence, but also Clint
I love
Danroth.
Clint.
I was just looking at your stuff and I was like, man, so much of this looks like Clint stuff. Like, is he an influence on you?
Like I remember, I met Clint, Vancouver convention, Abbotsford convention. What was that? 2010, 2009, and when they had it in the airport.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
shit,
So
yeah.
I met him. He had a booth right across from us. He had it right across from the and I was still with Sacred Balance at the time. So yeah, I was fanboying over him for a long time. And then he was actually the first guest spot I did when I shut down my shop. And I'm like, fuck it. You know what? I need to get the hell out of the house. I need to just get out and spread my wings and just see what other people are doing. So I gave him a call and he invited me out. So I have my own clients down there. So I just kind of showed up and I tattooed this guy 3 days in a row, and everybody in the shop was just like, what the fuck was that, dude? I'm like, you just did a leg sleeve in 3 days. And I'm like, I thought I was here to impress you guys. You guys are awesome. I'm like,
yeah, but Clint's the same, right? That guy's super prolific. He's a workhorse as well. Like that seems like a good pairing.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we had a lot of fun. My wife loves going out there because she just gets to walk the beach the whole day and with the dog. And, you know, we have good dinners at night and good conversations, you know, but like all day, it's just, you can see how hard he works. And, you know, like we kind of match that style. But I think that was the same thing when I watch like work with James too. Like it's like that head down, like, because at that time at the shop, it was James, Dan Cameron, Dave Freed, myself, Dino, and Anthony doing apprenticeship. So, I mean, like, I'm just watching these guys, and it was just pretty much heads down working like 6-7 hours on their clients every day. I was like, how are you doing this? This is magical. Fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But it's same thing with Clint, you know? It's like, hey, you know, you got a project, you're about that, get it done, you know? That's what clients want. They don't want you fucking around. They want it done. So, yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So after you're in Canmore, you didn't want to move the family.
So,
that's where we left off. Oh, you'd gone cold turkey. So I want to hear more about this. This is a challenge that I'm sure a lot of people listening can relate to if they've had any kind of addiction issues or been on painkillers for long periods of time. That's not an easy transition. Like that's got to
No,
fuck you up.
I could see it. It's weird. I could see it through my art, like when I was unhealthy and when I'm healthy, and clear thoughts and coherent thoughts in art, my drawings, to the point where it's like, um, yeah, you could see where I was like my most fucked up, even through my sketchbooks, and it's like it's pretty messed. But yeah, my doctors, because if you're in the military, you got any back issues, they'll just give you a Percocet like in pillowcases. Here's a pillowcase full of shit. Plus, we're going to give you all the other shit to counteract that. Plus, we're going to give you some other shit that might counteract the other shit. So, yeah, there's a point where I was on 13 pills, different pills a day of just like shit for my back and my brain and PTSD. And then I'm like, you know what? There's no fucking way this stuff is helping me. There's no way that they are just making bank off all this crap. And this is before it was like really in the news about the opioid epidemic and stuff like that. And these are just people like, yeah, oh, your back hurts. We don't care. Here you go. Here's some fucking pills. Get after it. So I think after staring and watching all my friends work full days, and I could only work, owning my own shop like 3-4 hours before my back was just like totally done. My brain's done, not thinking clearly. And it's like, got cool drawings, but I just don't have the stamina or the mental energy to get through my projects. So it's like, what the fuck am I doing? Right. So go cold turkey, and I'm like, I'm just done. I can't take it. I don't know anything about, heavy opiate withdrawals or anything at this time, just because I was just naive. I didn't look into it. I just said, fuck it. And yeah, let's just say the attitude can be less than ideal when you're doing stuff like that. So it calls for a lot of risks in the shop, unfortunately. And I take that all on myself because, the one thing I've learned in dealing with this is PTSD is no excuse for piss poor behavior. So, man, nobody want to work with somebody who's angry all the time. So,
no,
that's it.
So, what did you do? What kind of tools did you find? Like, how did you end up finding level ground? Like, you must have found something.
Well, I ended up shutting down the shop because just certain incidences happened, and it's like, this is unattainable anymore. I can't function as shop owner. I can't be a friend of my friends, which is fucking ridiculous because I'm going through all this and I don't even know why, pretty much. And but I know I just don't want to be like this anymore. I'm sick of it. I'm like, I got a tattoo every day, which I love. Thank fuck, I love tattooing. But like, yeah, it wasn't until I went to and I actually reached out for help. Oddly enough, all this time I'm suffering alone because I just thought I was alone, and I ended up reaching out to military therapy, and they called me the next day and I'm like, yeah, how can we help you out? So I called them up and they're like, I just want to, try to save my marriage. I just lost my shop, I lost all my friends, and it's all because of my attitude, and I can't manage my emotions. And a lot of military guys go through this shit. But I mean, like, I also have a full clientele. People are expecting me to, get their tattoos, and they got a lot invested in me. And I'm like, I just want to operate on a normal day, So they took us in, and we did, my wife and I both did it together. So we did equine therapy with horses, and and
Rad.
that was cool because it was 3 days with 6 other couples who were going through the same shit. Military husband and their wife, and then you work with a 1,200-pound horse, and it's basically showing me that like my heart rate and the way I'm talking to people, it's just putting people off. Like that intensity you felt when I came into the shop to get my back piece, like I can dial that down and just walk in and just have that vibe where it's cool now because I didn't know that before. It's like I'm gonna walk in like, yeah, we're going to war. It's like, no, you're just getting a tattoo, dude. Calm down.
You're at an 8. We need you at about a 4.
2.5 would be awesome. Yeah, totally. So we did 2 of those. through the phases through that, and yeah, we're able to, really stop lying to ourselves, and in the sense of like, hey, sometimes you need help, sometimes you need to ask for a hand. And it was through that they're like, hey, you suffered a brain injury. Like, it's not that it's not your fault, but it's your fault to deal with how you're dealing with it. Make sense? So
Absolutely.
So healing's my fault, or healing's my endeavor, just to not be like, I'm going to heal from this. I'm not going to heal from the trauma, not, but I can understand enough that I'm not going to, be angry all the time about it. I'm a more happier person now. And that gave me the resources to be back with my brothers. We all have Facebook and Instagram now, so that's pretty cool.
I think it's really commendable that you took control of your situation. Mental health is a real issue in tattooing. It is in society. In tattooing, I think we definitely see a lot of it, and we've lost some good friends. And, it would be wonderful if people could speak more candidly and openly about what they're feeling and get the help they need or the support they need. Do you know of any, what would you recommend to somebody who's obviously maybe not has PTSD, but is dealing with any kind of mental health issue?
Honestly, I mean, like, there are professionals around. Like, I see a psychologist maybe once a month. I have my daughter seeing her twice a month, just so we can all just work together and, do this all together, because she has more tools. She's a trained professional, but it's like, when I need to talk to somebody that's not super heavy, and I don't want to be like calling my buddy with something that they just wouldn't understand. And sometimes, like, it's just easier to talk to somebody who's totally just disjointed from the situation, like they have the training sense. And it's like, it doesn't affect them at all. So I can be in there, I could talk about whatever. And they're like, oh yeah, cool. What do you think about that? Like, I don't know, probably shouldn't. All right, cool. Carry on, and, but I don't have to dump that on my family or my friends or anything like that, So that's, it is worth the money if you could find somebody who's good and you can relate to. I mean, like, you don't have to go every day, it's just kind of like, for me, I do more of like mental brush up. Like, all right, if I just need, like, yeah, I'm getting a little too in my head, let's go talk to somebody who's totally out of, the realm. And an hour, I'm like, all right, it usually feels pretty good, pretty drained after, but pretty good in the sense of like, all right, I know what my goals are or whatnot, somebody like that can be like, well, maybe you're feeling like this because you don't have a mission statement in life. It's like, yeah, you're fucking right. All right. Yeah, totally. I didn't think about that. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. I had a great therapist. I've always told people, like, if you got problems, man, talk to somebody. I had a therapist, was amazing. Leading up to COVID, I did 8 sessions of hypnotherapy. Okay. And I'm not even joking. After my last session of hypnotherapy, we shut down the world 3 days later. And I was like the dude from the movie The Office. Nothing bothered me. I didn't give a fuck. I was listening to audiobooks, walking 2 hours a day, like, fucking world's falling apart. And I was just like, hey, everything's fucking awesome. Yeah. Like,
I wish we could go back. I wish we could go back to a shutdown. That was awesome for my mental health.
Yeah, I was working doubles up until that point for like the last 2 years and trying to buy a house. And when they shut it down, I was like, oh, thank God. Oh, fuck. Like, yeah, sorry guys, I can't do it right now. Like, I guess I'm just gonna sit at home and paint all day. I'm like, oh darn, like, fuck. But I know there's
so many like young people were like losing their minds, but like guys in our age bracket were just like,
yeah, I need the break.
I can just totally. I long for it. I started baking bread again because I missed the shutdown. Just nostalgic for bread.
Yeah, I did like 6 oil paintings in like the course of like, the 6 or 7 week. What did they shut us down for? Oh yeah, it wasn't weeks, it was months. Yeah, 5 months. Like, I did an oil painting a month, and it's like sold every one of them. That was pretty cool. So got a lot of love for anybody who's watching and bought one of my paintings. Love you.
Yeah,
And
no
then,
doubt.
yeah, my wife was doing macrame at the time, which is like knot work and stuff like that, right? Like,
Yeah.
but she was doing these
Yeah.
little leaf hanging kits, like do-it-yourself kits, and Chapters picked them up and was putting them on their website and selling them on there. So we were making all these packages
What?
for her so she could sell all her stuff while we were in lockdown. I'm just sitting there painting, and I'm like, well, that worked out. Yeah,
amazing.
so I mean,
Oh
like
my
I heard a
God.
few other people who just did pretty well during the pandemic in the sense of like, oh, they started new jobs or businesses and like, yeah, they fucking killed it. So yeah, we were like, yeah, sitting
Yeah.
around for the first couple of weeks. There's only so much Halo you can play, and it's like, all right, this is going to be the long haul. I'm like, I'm gonna get some painting done, grow my beard out a little bit, wearing, Kleenex boxes for shoes, but it's not that weird.
Oh my God, I'm gonna try that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it was a good time.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. So
All right.
we might as well get into some art stuff. I love how dynamic and how much depth you get into your tattoos. It's very three-dimensional, which is something you don't see very often in tattooing. How did you end up coming to this style that you have?
I think a lot of it's airbrushing. I used to do a lot of airbrushing
Oh, crazy.
in college and
Didn't know that.
like with Derek and stuff. Like when we started first hanging out, we used to airbrush a lot together. Yeah, I used to do a shit ton of airbrushing. So I think the way
Huh.
I layer my tattoos is kind of like that. I go over and I layer some stuff up with shadows or whatnot, or different layers of color, and it's kind of like going over with an airbrush layer. And it's like I think that's kind of like where that kind of comes from. So if you've done any of that,
Fuck yeah! Now that you say that, now I
yeah,
see it.
right,
Yeah.
Like, now that you say it, now I see it.
yeah.
Cool.
So
do you build it up while you're tattooing? Like, do you, Rob Hope, he does everything in kind of mid-tones and light tones and then goes in and starts deepening everything afterwards, which is kind of backwards for most tattooers. Do you have a similar process?
yeah, like everything is black and gray first. Get all the backgrounds in. That's like my favorite part. Like kind of like what Rob said or Doug said. Like when you're doing kind of like big Japanese stuff. I love doing the backgrounds. They're so much fun, and making stuff super smooth and whatnot. But yeah, when I go into color, I like to do the light stuff. Make sure it's kind of like you're not going so dark, so you can kind of work off that a little bit. And if you need to adjust tones, then it's easier to go. Easier to add than take away, right? So, and but then yeah, I mean, like
Oh, that's
even
cool.
like I said, like watching like James at Hedley and all those guys like pack color, it was like, all right, you're pulling little things from everybody I've ever worked with and how they do it. And it's like, and then watching Tabori is very interesting.
Yeah,
And now
totally.
the way sometimes I pack, everybody's like, well, you're working fast, but it's packed. But like if you watch my hand movements, I kind of like make that Tabori like it's very like not just doing little circles, like I'm very like methodical getting it in. You can feel it. And watching that, and it's like
Yeah.
just pack big, sways of color and black and gray shading that's
Yeah.
super soft, and it's like, oh, okay, that's cool. Amazing stretch. It's the one thing I always like. If you have a good stretch, like your tattoo should be easy. You shouldn't be working against your machines. Everything is like this hand. This is just like manipulating the machine and whatnot and giving your technique. But everything depends on your stretching hand and like how you're feeling that drum beat in the skin with the needle, right? So if you don't have that, you're
Yeah.
not moving. So yeah, it's
That's a good way to explain it. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
free Timbit. Put it on YouTube.
I remember Scott Duncan explained it in a similar fashion about the feedback through your stretching hand. He was always talking about everything that was happening in the tattoo was his stretching hand was telling him, and nothing to do with the machine he was holding. And I was like, that was the first time I ever thought of thinking of it the other way. Like you're feeling it when you're doing it, but if you're not conscious of it, it's
even like even when we shoot, like your these 3 fingers here are connected. They're like a pad. That's 40% of your grip strength. That's 40% of your grip strength in your pinky, and then the other 20 in your right? So when you're stretching, I stretch with my pinky, I stretch with all the fingers, and I'm kind of ambidextrous. Like when I'm doing that, my daughter is watching me tattoo. She's like, "Oh, your stretches are you do like 10 different stretches for this little area." I'm like, "That's why I'm moving so fast." I'm like moving my way around. I also stand for all my tattoos. I don't
Yeah.
sit down for tattoos. I stand the whole day, and I treat it like a job, like I'm at work. So my table's really high, and I prefer to do that. I got more energy that way. As soon as I sit down and start to tattoo, I'm
Helps
like,
your back, I'm guessing.
helps my back, and then from being bored.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a hydraulic table, or do you have just a regular massage
I
table?
got this really cool old school hydraulic table. It's like a foot one, so it never breaks
Yep.
down, and it goes like up to me, but goes up to about here. It was built like 50
Fuck.
years ago. This lady from UK brought it over for her massage tables, and I was like, oh, I wish I had 3 more of them from everybody else. But
No
yeah,
kidding.
I've held on to that. That's my like, ooh, I'm gonna die with this thing. It's so awesome.
What's the brand
Has
name
no
on that
brand
thing?
name. It's just piece of steel, and yeah, I'll show you
Oh,
after.
fuck.
Do you follow Phil Holt?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. He's building a new table.
Have you seen this table build that
I
he's
gotta see
doing?
that.
Because he's been standing and tattooing for as long as I can remember. And I remember his table though was like literally like a bed, and he would just walk around it while he needed to work. And now he has this new design, and he's been putting up the 3D renderings and stuff, and it looks
That's what's up.
pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's
there,
funny
you can
because
tell you guys have to buy those.
the old tables were always a pain in the ass because if you sat, your fucking knees would bang against everything that was underneath that was there to adjust it. But as soon as you stand up, it doesn't matter. So that table could be fucking like square.
No, this has just
Could
got
be a block.
in the middle of it. It's got one hydraulic arm that goes up the very middle, so there's nothing on the sides. You can get right under it if you need to. It's like, yeah, it was a gem of a find when I found it. It was like, oh, how much you want for that? Like, oh, well, give me $700 and I'll deliver it. I'm like, yeah, I'll give you 8. Fucking done.
I use a master massage table like so many people, and I wanted it to be taller so I could stand up and tattoo. And I got this guy to make me legs. Yeah. He made these extension legs, took them off, and he brought them in the first day, and he gave me these 2 legs. And I'm looking at these 2 legs, and I'm like, yeah, these are great, dude. Where's the other 2? Like, they're kind of fucking useless. But it raised this thing up like another 8 inches. So that I have to have a fucking stool for people to stand
just put
on.
A couple books
and that
on
table,
the other end,
man,
you're good to go, right?
if somebody's a little big, that table, if it goes, it's gonna go hard.
Yeah. Well, Rich Hanford, when he worked for, or Rich Harding, when he worked for me, same thing. He had to stand a tattoo because of sciatica, and my buddy built him leg extenders. But those fucking massage tables are so narrow and unstable. How high he had it?
Oh,
that
fuck!
We had to make sure he was always against the wall.
Yeah.
Because like, gonna end up on the fucking floor. Right? So that's why I still sit and tattoo. Just I am too cheap to buy one of those fucking hydraulic ones. So
I've been saving for one for about 15 years, but I keep spending that money. You know, it's like, oh, I got about enough. I'm like, oh, there's that shiny thing over there.
I bought a new book.
It's like $4,000 for a chair. Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck. I use it every day, but fuck.
Yeah. But.
Oh, crazy.
Okay, so Honor Bound, how long are you at Honor Bound?
5 years with those guys. Yeah.
Wow.
So I did.
Your longest.
Yeah, I did. I did pretty much most of my time at Anywhere was with Honor Bound and those guys, and it was cool. Open shop. Everybody was, my friends and very sympathetic to what was going on. So I could take the time off when I needed to. Kyle's just awesome. It was kind of like, here's your key, come and go when you want. You're a grown adult, you know what it is. And, he's been with me through thick and thin. So just like coming to work and, work my doubles or work whatever I wanted to work, have my clients come in. And then when I wanted to take my vacation time and take off on my bike or do my military stuff with the veterans and stuff like that, then, there's never an issue. It was just like, yep, see you later. I'll be back whenever, and life's good. So did that. And, so COVID happened, and we actually ended up buying this house. And it was always the goal to get to a private studio so I could just kind of like deal with myself and my wife. Like, we've done all our training together, we've done all our therapy together, so we work really well together. She's my apprentice slash manager. She runs all our books for the shop here, and she's fucking awesome. So all my clients love her because, you know, she gets back to them within a day, not like 10, not like 10 years from now. I'll be like, oh yeah, by the way, like, so yeah, she runs that. And because she's highly artistic herself, she's been starting to learn how to tattoo. So we've been just kind of going one-on-one and talking a lot of art philosophy and ethics and all that right now. And it's like, wow, it's pretty cool. I wish we'd started this years ago because you're really fucking good. God damn it. Like,
Nice. Oh, that's awesome.
Well, it sounds like you're more in a place now where you could actually be beneficial and teach her. Probably you probably have more patience now, right? Especially to teach a loved one is definitely, I think, harder than teaching just a random. So,
well, that's it. You know, at the end of the day, you don't have to live with an apprentice who's just coming to the shop every day, you know? So,
yeah.
But through that, it's like, it's taught me, it's like, well, I definitely don't know anything. Like, I've been tattooing 18 years, but it's like, man, I'm starting from the start. I'm like, I got to start you from the start. I'm like, where's the start when you know, like, a lot of shit, you know? And it's like, where do you want to go where I can kind of get your, you know, opinion on what you want this to be? You got to choose your own path, but, you know, I still need to show you the basics, how to do it right, you know, and, you know, cross-contamination, all this stuff is very important. And then at the end of the day, whether it's a little script tattoo or it's a little hard or whatever the fuck it is, it's still got to be perfect. It's got to be awesome. It's got to have love in it because tattooing's special. It's still special to me. It's the one thing that's got me through all this fucking shit, you know, and it's being able to pay for, you know, the doctors that help me fix my back so I can get off the drugs, you know. It's put me in positions where I'm hanging out with really cool people who are giving me the time of day, not so they can give me something, but just like, all right, I get an insight on what this tattoo thing is. And it's not just putting ink in skin. Like, it's much deeper than that, you know. I have a very almost like religious love for it. It's kind of weird because I guess through my military stuff, I'm like memento mori, you know. So I'm very acute of that. So I'm just trying to do as much as I can while I'm here, you know. So
no, I get it, you know, because same, like, you know, when I was younger, I got into tattooing really young, and it was able to kind of give me a life that I didn't think I could have had otherwise. Right. And then when I did fall back into, you know, using drugs and all that stuff, really when it came down to the end of my drug use was simply me choosing to be good at tattooing again, because my tattooing got fucking terrible. And then I quit because I was like, I can't do this to people anymore. Right. So I just quit tattooing. And then I finally got clean off drugs. 18 months later, I started tattooing again. And so, yeah, I see tattooing as like my savior in a way. So I can be very protective of tattooing, you know, and some people will always be like, it's because you're like an old grumpy guy or this or that. It's like, no, because it literally saved my life.
That's it.
Like, it literally saved my fucking life. And that's why I'm so angry about it, but it's actually just, I'm so passionate about certain things and handing over certain information. I'm super willing and grateful, but when people kind of just take that information, look at it, and then throw it over their shoulder, I'll get fucking angry because it's like, what are you doing, man? Like, this is really special thing, not just to me, but to a lot of other people, and I find it super fucking disrespectful. So I get it. I really get that mentality for sure.
I think it's hard to get that feeling for tattooing though until you've been around it for a long time. You know, like a lot of people say that it means everything to them and it's saved them or whatever. A lot of people say that shit, but until you've been tattooing a long time and interact with enough clients and understand how that stuff affects them and how it supports you over a long period of time, can you really get that understanding?
Well, that's it. It's like, and before, I mean, like, you guys know, like, information wasn't free, you know. I mean, like, the amount of just like flying in jets to go to different conventions. So maybe you can get a critique or see somebody tattoo. I mean, like, I'd fly down. I did a couple of the Paradise conventions down in Keystone, Colorado.
Oh, cool.
And a
Yeah.
few of us, from the shop were like, fuck it, let's go down, rented a room together. And basically, they had this resort where they had like amazing tattooers from across the states and everything come in. And they were putting on seminars. And you could do 2 or 3 seminars a day, depending on the length of them. And it was 3 days of just watching live people tattoo and seminars on anything you want to know, black and gray, cover ups, realism. You could take any seminar with any of the guys who were, the thing at that time and just sit down for 2, 3 hours, $200 and just sit there. So we would we treated it like school. Like we went there, do 2 or 3 seminars a day, party that night with everybody, and then shit was fucking crazy too. Americans know how to fucking party. Those American tattooers. Wow. But then next
was that the convention they did like round tables on the last day?
Yeah, so they would have like a whole studio set up, like, and they'd have people with tattoos come up and they'd do critiques, but they'd have it on these giant screens and everything like that. They'd have live painting there, which was just amazing. Like some of the best painters, like from Europe, coming over doing oil painting seminars there too. So, Mr. Barber and like that, having Shawn Barber, doing Tom Strom doing a painting seminar. Like it was just like holy fuck, it was like it was pretty awesome. But like the seminars were like, we're going to feed you information like from a fire hose. So like you got like 3 hours, just ask us whatever presentation or whatever they were doing, and then after that, like ask us what we have up until the next one starts, kind of thing. So yeah, we did 2 of those, and I did them both each year, and that was pretty awesome. That was pretty cool. It was very intimate, so. But yeah, a lot of information going around, and that was kind of like where I kind of saw the American kind of scene going down, and it was like, wow, there's just some fucking tattoos going on down here too, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned something about critiques.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get a critique while you were down there?
Oh yeah, I got a few. Yeah.
How was that?
It was cool. I had my big portfolio with all my drawings everywhere with me, and I just kind of like this weird dude Canadian with a giant book, and like guys are like, what do you got over there? I'm like, I got some drawings. So yeah, I got a critique from Russ Abbott, and he was just like,
cool.
Pretty much said like, yeah, anytime you want to come work down in my shop, that'd be cool. I'm like, don't know about where you're at, but yeah, thanks for that. I'm like, that's pretty cool. But I mean, like, just talking design work, but I took his seminar that day too. So, and he had it on color theory. So it was like, all right, that's cool. And then, everybody was like, egos kind of got dropped, and everybody was like, here's what we're doing with art. Here's what you can do. It doesn't matter. Like for this 3 days, it's like everybody's on the same level. What you got, and we'll tell you what's up. And it wasn't like you didn't see anybody crying in the corner, like because they're got critiqued or something like that. It wasn't like that. It was very you're here to get better, and everybody understands that. If you're here, if you made the trip to get to Keystone in the middle of the Colorado Rocky Mountains and this resort that it's 2.5 hours from the airport, then you're here for a reason, right? So there's no locals up here.
Absolutely.
So
have you been on the other side? Have you had people wanting critiques from you, and how do you handle that?
Yeah, not really. I think everybody's terrified of me, so. No, actually, that's not true. I mean, like, there's a lot of young guys that I know who are starting out tattooing. So I've definitely had some nice chats with them, and it's pretty cool seeing the talent that's coming in. And I can definitely, point them in the right direction. I like tattooers who are around like 3 to 5 years in, and then I can just kind of be like, yeah, this is where you can kind of like focus on, look at in your art. But if you're just kind of like green, it's really hard for me to be like, I have no idea where you should start. I don't know what I should tell you. I mean, like, you're too green. Like, get some art behind you, some art classes, and some pray to paper, get your drawings up and see what's up, and get that time under
Yeah,
the pencil. So
I'm a firm believer in good mentorship. What you're talking about, that 3 to 5 year mark, or it's a great time to impart knowledge. People they've fell on their face enough to know they don't really know
yeah,
anything, but they're just getting good enough that the potential's coming out.
they're a
It's a
sponge
great
then.
time to just throw shit
Yeah,
at them and see what happens.
yeah, exactly. I see that, and then you see some of these guys who are just running with it, and it's like, okay, cool, slow down there, you fucking making us look bad.
I know. Fuck some of these people. I'm just like, you've been tattooing how long? Fuck you.
Yeah. But it's awesome too, because it's like I had this conversation with Patrick O'Neill. He goes by the Burning Jewel on Instagram. He does a really beautiful Asian stuff, but he was just finishing up his apprenticeship, and I was doing a guest spot with him, and it's he asked me about all the tattooers coming into the world now, and I'm like, man, if they're putting in the effort you're putting in, there's no problem for tattooing them, because
No
people are
kidding.
still having kids, nobody's not having kids anymore, like the day of, thinking that there's not an abundance. It's like, well, a lot of that is, I think, oversaturation in maybe one area, but, work ethic that doesn't stand out. So, like you got to stand out.
Yeah.
You got to put the homework in. I mean, like that's the thing. And the people putting the homework in are complaining about, not working. So,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you put the time in and you put consistency. You're there for your clients. You're going to have clients and you're going to build more clients. Because if you're one of those guys that's always bouncing, city burning, taking off, doing what, because the grass is always greener on the other side, and then you come back to your city, you have problems.
Absolutely.
You're just going to have problems getting those clients coming back, right? It's like people want just that consistency. It's like your consistency in your work being good, but also just your consistency being there as a tattooer, and then being able to reach you is such a big thing too, So
yeah, no.
Yeah,
so
I think
your assistant getting back to people right away, your wife, is good, because I'm horrible at it.
Yeah, I think it was 2 years ago, we were sitting there. She's like, you're only booked out a month. I'm like, oh yeah. She's like, babe, you have 3 years worth of bookings. Why are you only booked out a month right now? I'm like, she's like, goes through my email. She's like, you have 1,900 fucking emails unanswered. I'm like,
oh my God.
I'm like, I'm just working day to day, love. She's like, all right, you're paying me to do your books. Fuck this. Then, and in 3 weeks, she cleared up all the emails, got everybody. And she's like, yeah, you're booked a year and a half out now. I'm like, cool. Thanks, love. So
I could not
just finished that.
Could not deal with that.
Yeah, no.
I could not deal with that. How do you live with a schedule that's that booked out? How much time do you book for yourself? Like, just to have like a vacation? Like, what happens if you get sick?
I never get sick.
It's gonna happen.
No. It's pretty fluid. Most of our clients are, I'd say, 50% of our clients are flying in and are or military. So they're pretty easygoing if something were to come up and whatnot. We pre-book all our summer vacation and our winter vacations the year before, and my books are already pre-booked. Vacations, birthdays, everything like that. Like that's the military to me. I already know my vacation in 2024. We're good to go. So we already plan for that because we like to do a lot of rad shit in the summertime. So that's our biking time. That's when we hang out with our military brothers. This summer is going to be super fun with us. We're going to be on the island, so we try to book all that off like before we even settle that schedule. So that for me makes me feel good because I know there's time going out, and then every Wednesday is my design day, my draw day, where I just hang at home, probably smoke a shit ton of weed and do all my drawings, and it's good times, and nobody bugs me. And so I have a set day where I get to do all my drawings, hang out, watch Marvel movies, do whatever, just listen to podcasts, and nobody bugs me. And the wife doesn't bug me. The kids don't bug me. They just know, like, that's my day. and the rest of the time I'm either tattooing, and if I'm not tattooing, I tattoo every day from 11 till 5 or 6 every day. And just one appointment a day. And if they're flying in, they're usually doing 2 or 3 appointments a day. So that's why it's like I'm not doing like 8 million appointments. I'm usually doing like sometimes only like 2 or 3 people a week, but they're in
Gotcha.
multiple days. So it's like
Yeah.
we're just watching movies, listening to tunes here, head down, getting the work done that they're asking me to do. So, but a lot of my clients are my friends now because I'm doing a lot of big work that they're like, all right, the back piece is finished. We're doing the leg now. It's like, cool. Tell your wife and kids to say hi, like it's more of a rapport. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have it in my home and do it in a private studio because I just wouldn't want that type of traffic, right? So all these people are like family now. It's like anybody messes with us is like, hey, we're just going to call our clients. They're like, they're all firefighters and military and, like they're all tradesmen and stuff like that. They're working hard for,
Yeah, you put that many hours on a person, and they're a friend.
Yeah, it's like you pay
absolutely.
for my house, but I mean, like we're homies, like we're having a drink after. Yeah. So, but it's good.
doubt.
But they know I'm a finisher. Like I get my jobs finished. I'm always ready for them, and I'm always here with a smile because at the end of the day, I mean, like it's about them. If they have to wear the artwork forever. I'm just trying to do my best job as an artist to give them, what I know how to do. And then, we both kind of see that thing eye to eye and it's like, we agree on that and that's what they get. So, even for my consultation process is really militaristic almost, I'm like email, just tell me what you want to get, where you want to get it, how you found out about us kind of thing. Just very easy, like, a nice, well-worded email where it's like, hi, not like, hi, I want to get tattooed. And, like, yeah, okay, cool. Delete. See you later, buds. Like, but it's like, hi, I love your work. I've seen your work. My buddies have your friends. And, my buddy and my other buddy have your work. I'm like, oh, okay, you're part of the crew. All right, you want to get in? What do you want? And then I give, before we even discuss ideas, I send them my rates and everything like that and how I work and what I expect when I do my work day. And if they're compatible with that, then we're like, cool, let's set up a consultation, do a FaceTime consultation. And I get all their particulars. And right after that, we give you all your dates for every appointment you need. You're in the books, done. See you when your appointment comes.
Nice.
So
very cool.
That's awesome.
It took a minute to get that way, but it's worked very well the last couple of years. So, and
oh man, I would have so much anxiety about. I don't get much anxiety, but I would have anxiety about having a schedule that booked out. I'd be panicking about when do I get time for fucking me? Because I need a lot of time for me. Ask Shawn, he knows I take a lot of fucking time off, and it's like, oh shit, there's this thing I can do in fucking Oregon next week. Mm-hmm. Fuck, I could probably move those clients around. Fuck it, I'm gone. Yeah. Like I'm doing it.
Oh no, we do that. Oh no, we straight up do that. We're actually going back to Costa Rica here in May. We're going for a little. I don't know if you can call it a convention, but it's like a tattoo remote getaway thing. And
yeah, I've heard about this.
So Pam and I are both going because we love Costa Rica, and if we can go down there as a business trip and write it off as a vacation, then
perfect.
The government don't care. So
hey, I'm gonna have to get some info on that. Maybe I'll go next year. For this
I think there's 2
I've been wanting to go to Costa Rica. Yeah, I've been wanting to go to Costa Rica for years. So that's I've already been talking about going there this next winter. So that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, you can come hang out. Yeah, come hang out with us. We're going to be down there from January till April. So
hell yes.
Fuck yeah.
So
cool.
Yeah, I'm looking for a place down there. If I can tattoo in the winters down there, I mean, like in a nice little beach and surf, and then have a lot of my clients fly out anyways. So it's like you're flying to Alberta in the winter. Like, dude, like we should just do this on a beach somewhere.
Totally. I mean, you talked to Donnie Peterson.
Yeah.
He had a nice setup in Nicaragua.
Oh, that's kind of like I saw that, and I've talked to Don about that a lot, and it's like that's ultimately the dream at the end of the day, and we can have a cool little house either year round. Be cool. It's a beautiful country. It's paradise, right? Like those countries.
Yeah, absolutely.
To beat the Alberta cold, you know, for a couple months, and then because I love Alberta in the summer and the spring. It's freaking awesome. Get out here riding and whatnot, right? And I got a lot of amazing clients here and close to the airport, so you know, Calgary's really good for that, I think, right? So
yeah. Hey man, do you have any more of those hoodies?
No, but I could probably get you one made. I know a guy. Like I said, I'm terrible at self promotion. You know, like I don't have a lot of swag. I got a couple shirts, but I'll actually be up in Edmonton next week. I'll be at Capital for a couple days. I didn't actually know you were up there, so I'm like, I'll stop by your shop for a day there too, and I'll bring you some swag.
Are you doing a convention?
No, I'm just coming up for a couple days to get out of the house to Jessica's tattoo, and I got a couple clients coming in, so. And then,
what days you up there?
I'll be up there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Oh fuck! I'll be there as well.
Fuck yeah.
Stop by the shop.
Totally. Yeah, we'll definitely stop by. Yeah, and but yeah, I'll bring you some swag for sure then.
Cool. Yeah, we're kidnapping Jessica on Monday and doing a podcast with her.
Well, there you go.
Don't. She doesn't know.
That out. I forgot we're recording.
Hedley.
Bleep that.
Well, you won't air this until she's on it anyway, so right?
No, we'll be airing the day before.
She's good to go. So as we're driving up, she's like, "Oh, by the way."
No, she knows.
She knows.
But it's a whole like video setup plan that we want to do.
Stop talking. Stop.
Awesome.
Unreal.
And back from technical difficulties.
Shawn, spoiler Hedley.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, no, that'll get me out of the house. And yeah, like I said, the Costa Rica thing is what we're doing instead of conventions this year, just so we can do something different and living with tattooers that I don't know from across the world. I don't know any of these people, you know, other than just seeing their Instagram portfolios and stuff, right? So living and working and probably do some collabs. So I think artistically, talk about like, you know, shaking up the ant's nest and like try to resort some things out after that. It's like, yeah, why not? You know, as an artist, I love shaking things up, but like, you know, it's hard to shake things up when you already know everybody, and you know, you kind of like, you gotta see somebody who's different and just see what, you know, perspective is, you know, from these types of artists. So yeah, I'm pretty excited for that anyways. So.
Oh, very cool, man.
Super exciting.
Yeah. Awesome.
Right.
So you brought up, just because you brought up American tattooers and all that stuff, let's bring up the polarizing question now. Top 5 tattooers.
Yeah.
Well, I won't name the obvious 2, or 3 that we all know. So, you know, whatever. I have to say, like, one of my favorite tattooers is John Wayne. Out of Bell River, Ontario, because he was one of the first people to mentor me. And all around, pound for pound, like one of the best tattooers and just a beautiful style. I love his portraits. I love his neo-Japanese. Like every tattoo is just made with fucking love. And he's working in a private studio with his wife as well. And I mean, like he's been doing that for almost 30 years now. And every tattoo he posts is just fucking fire, you know, and no matter what subject matter it is, it's just straight up awesome tattooing. And you know, he showed me a lot of tattooing when he was like the first real guest spot where it's like, all right, you know, this is what tattooing's about, you know. Opens up a drawer and he's got 200 tattoo machines, like from every fucking maker. He's like, go ahead, pick anyone you want, try them all out. I don't care. It's like, he's like, I got every ink, I got every needle, whatever the fuck you need, bro. I'm like, oh my God, this is awesome. You know, and so, I mean, like, he's still my favorite tattooer, and good friend of mine. Like, we rode to Alaska together, on our bikes. Well, yeah, like, you know, we've been through some cool adventures together through this, you know. Shige, obviously, just seeing that work, it's just, it's almost like, you know, when you hear a beautiful woman like sing, it almost makes you want to tear up a bit. Like you see that and it's just like, fuck, no matter how hard I work, I just want to understand how that's, and I'm gonna still try. But I mean, like, damn, like, it's just fucking amazing tattooing. I guess.
His tattooing just stops you dead in your tracks. Like if you're scrolling or anything, it's just like, what? Like you can't
like,
zoom in enough.
No,
Yeah.
and it's fucking perfect. Like even Shawn has a back piece from him, right? It's like just like, bro, like just seeing it in the flesh is just like, I'm like, I just don't have the direction in my art to focus in on that, and I know that just because I just don't know where to look. But I mean, like even still, that's like a whole, the families before him and everything like that, like worth of education in that particular. And it's just, I love I guess, the skill slash the love that put into it and the technical ability, because it's flawless. Like there's no, it's just, you just kind of look at it. It's like, all right, that's what Michelangelo's David was to like tattooers. That's what that guy's fucking doing, right? And it's like, all right, I don't know if I can look at you in the eye, man. You're giving me this Fergie kind of like,
I look at Shige's work, and I'll kind of scroll in a little bit onto like the patterns and stuff, and I'll just be like, pointless for me to look at it. I'll never get there. Just keep scrolling. Fuck it.
It's hard.
I had his book years ago. I had to sell it because it was so depressing. It was just like you can't help but be influenced and try to do it, and then you just look at your tattoos and you're like, that's crap. Like that's crap. It's not. It doesn't look remotely like it.
This book was published in 2006. Cool. It's 2023 and still nowhere near there. It's like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
Well, but I mean, like that's the thing. Like we're all trying to run after our own tattoo heroes, and they've been running for 20 years before us, and so on and so on. It all kind of like built on that, right? So,
totally.
I think we're just very lucky now that we have, like, if you want to pursue something, you can. So. I really love watching Tabori. I would really like to learn how to do more Tabori and put that into my repertoire, because then maybe it'll slow me down a little bit and, actually get worked on a normal human pace. So, but, I find all that stuff terribly interesting. And I think it's fucking rad, So this whole, like, life's been kind of just super awesome. And overall in the tattooing world, and I'm at that point now where it's like 18, 19 years in, and one thing I have to say is like, what was it, like, I think it was like 3 weeks after I started doing my actual first tattoos in the street shop, Miami Ink came on TV. Right? And before that, like, the piercers were making more money than the tattooers.
Totally.
Right? And it was like, piercers.
100%.
Man,
piercers are doing like 20, 30 people a day, and you're doing a couple little walk-ins a day kind of thing. Miami Ink comes on, everybody wants a back piece that's praying hands like this, fucking full back. And it's like, you want a full back piece of that? Like, why? Like, saw it on TV. It's fucking cool, bro. Like, back piece me up. I'm like, okay, cool. And like, I think there was like a definite point from that in a street shop where you're like, well, there's people like actually waiting for the shop to open. That's kind of neat. Ooh, that's cool. And after that was, it was really weird how, like, because it wasn't on like a weird TV show. It wasn't like Ink Masters or something like that. It was on the Learning Channel. So the Learning Channel back then, it had a little bit more faith behind it and a little bit more credibility, right? So, except for, people, I'll draw a back piece in 2 days, or 2 minutes, then, you come on back. It's like, it's like,
I'll just draw this and we'll be right back. And they walk in the back, come out in a different outfit.
Yeah, it's like, you're in different clothes, bro.
Nobody cared about continuity in that fucking editing then.
But everybody, every soccer mom, everybody knew who wanted a tattoo, knew it was like, it's on TV, we're good to go, it's acceptable. And there was this weird point in that time where it's like you could just see kind of like the switch. People are like, all right, I want tattoos. And that's when I really started seeing like a lot more bigger work coming into the magazines, and a lot more people who are really like doing it start sending photos in, and you start seeing like, you know, full bodysuits of like Aaron Kane, and you're just like, dude, I want to get tattooed by that guy. He's like, oh, he's retired. It's like, fuck. Yeah. So.
Okay, so you really changed the subject.
Sorry,
there.
bro.
You have 3 more artists you have to name.
Sorry, I go on tangents. Yeah.
Everybody tries to get out of naming 5 artists, but
so where are we at? 1, 2?
they got 2.
We got 2.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck me. Yeah, no, that changed daily. Honestly.
Who you digging right now? That's really
honestly, like for kind of like newer Japanese stuff, Ryan Usher, and that crew at Lighthouse out in New Zealand there. Those guys are fucking killing. I love their stuff. They're got their own style on it. It's solid. Yeah, it's Ryan Usher and 2 other gentlemen who work there. I'm gonna catch shit for this later, but so all Lighthouse. I'm not going to count them as. I'll count them as one, but like that shop is just switched on.
Yeah.
I'm just going to look it up right now. Ryan Usher.
Yeah, Lighthouse Tattoo.
Yeah.
Just like everything is coming out of there.
Very cool. Like they just do their own style of like Japanese, but it's proper, and it's like, yeah, it's very powerful, powerful imagery, and that's kind of like, all right, I like that style. Like not so much of the illustrative, but like the very in roots in the Japanese, and still keeping it their own big bold tattoos that you can literally see from space. I'm like, are fucking awesome to me. So
yeah, their shop, when I started seeing the individual artists, I wasn't realizing they were all from the same fucking place.
Right.
And then once I realized, I was like, oh, that place is like Artwork Rebels of Australia.
Right.
You know, like just super powerful guys all working together. Like Deadly, same thing.
Yeah.
Super powerful guys all just working together and feeding each other. It's just like, fuck, man. Like, but yeah, those Lighthouse guys, next level.
Yeah, it's awesome stuff. Also give a shout out to like Jess Yen and the family. Like saying big bold Japanese work, and they're like just the work ethic and the amount of productivity that they're doing. It's just bold. Big beautiful bodysuits from there too. That, you know, like I said, like I could go on here. I'm just gonna start naming people like all over. Like
one more.
Like, all right,
one more.
Like, all right, let's do a Canadian this time. Yeah. Why only got to do 5? Like, damn.
That's exactly the reason.
Make me look bad here. God damn it. All right. Well, top of my list right now, Peter Lager, out of UK, I think.
Yeah.
Like, bold, beautiful color, saturation. The imagery is just, again, see it from space, but just a really awesome take on things. And it's just, every time I see a tattoo from him, it's just like, wow, that's just fucking cool, man. I'm like, it's a beautiful tattoo, wonderfully rendered, and just, I'm like, sorry he's not Canadian, but I mean, like, it's just one of those things that are just like, you see the work all the time, and it's like, whew, damn, that's what's up. So
yeah.
I don't know. I think big tattoos to me just get me, going more than, smaller ones. You know what I'm saying? So
much work. So much work goes into it, so much thought, and it's so hard to get it right.
Yeah. Well done, large tattoos. Like just nothing can compete with it, right?
Yeah.
The people taking it, the amount of time and energy and money put into it too on the client's behalf. It's like, there's sometimes my wife will come down here and feed me lunch, and she just sees the pain in my client. She's like, all right, I'm going back upstairs. See you later. I'm like, I couldn't be down there. I'm like, I was fine. Yeah, he was hurting, but whatever. I was good.
Oh, fuck. Amazing. Cool.
So,
anything else you want to touch on?
I mean, like, I'm pretty chill when it comes to this. Like, I love tattoo world and whatnot. You know, every day you're just seeing people who are coming into it. They're just coming out of like art school or getting into tattooing and just producing these just fucking mind blowing pieces of like body art, you know? So,
Yeah.
and I think that's pretty cool. I mean, like, I really like get inspired by that, you know? And, yeah, I mean, like, the new generation coming in, I mean, like, there's a couple shitheads, like, everything, but I mean, like, for the most part, I
So
think,
are we.
yeah, straight up, you know? I think, you know, for the most part, what I'm seeing, there's a lot of people who, you know, have their heads down and are trying to beat that apprentice kind of like stereotype where it's like, oh, there's too many of me. So I'm like, well, you know, maybe if you're not putting the time in, then yeah, there are too many fucking people who are just putting 50% in, you know? Like I say with my relationships here with my clients, it's 100 to 100, you know? With my wife, it's 100 100. If you're only doing 50-50, I don't want nothing to do with you because you're only putting 50%, fucking kick rocks, you know? So
Yeah.
with my clients, you're putting 100% of your time off, money, and pain, effort to get this tattoo. I'm going to give that 100% focus and give you what you want that you can have forever. And I think that's why I'm really busy because I just make sure my clients are taken care of. You know, like
Yeah.
not so much the art, but just like I really give a fuck about my clients to the point where I know their kids' names, I know what's going on in their lives. You know, when they come in, it's like, hey, how's work? You know, like, you know, I make these pointers every time I'm working with somebody and I'm asking them a question, like, do you remember me? It's like, because I'm sure there's some people like, oh, I worked on your back piece. Like, what's this guy's name again, buddy? And let me go through his release form. I'm like, oh yeah, John, how you doing? Like, I don't do that anymore because it makes me look foolish when somebody's investing so much money in me, right? So,
Totally.
Yeah.
or somebody you meet on the street and they're like, hey man, I'm like, how's it going? It's like, hi bro. I'm like, yeah, you tattooed a back piece on me, bro. And it's like, yeah, you're not naked. I don't know what you look like.
I've only seen the back of your
Yeah,
head.
sorry.
Oh.
Yeah,
Fuck.
that's it. You know, it's been just been a trip. So,
Oh, it sounds like it's been an
Awesome.
amazing
So,
journey
okay, so
for you.
yeah.
mm,
So you're at Capital Tattoo next week for a few days,
yep.
and then you're Costa Rica in May for a while. Are you doing any other guest spot? I know you said you're not doing any shows, but are you doing more guest spots in the rest of the year? Any planning?
I'm kind of doing this fun thing in July. We're going out to Campbell River, BC. My wife, kid, and I, and we're all jumping with commandos for 6 days at the skydive thing. Yeah,
Crazy.
so that's pretty cool. And from what I heard, they're getting some elite paratroopers coming in to teach us because I'm free falling and doing all that stuff. But it's all for veterans who used to jump or never got to jump, and so they get their jump wings. And Pam, Cameron, and I will all be tattooing all their little paratrooper tattoos while we're there.
Rad.
And then we're going to donate all that money to the camp practice where we did our equine therapy. So we got 150 jumpers for 2 weeks. So yeah, I'll be
Fuck,
jumping
that's
and
awesome.
tattooing all day. It's like, fucking hey, this is great, you know? So,
Oh, super cool.
so yeah, that's kind of like where we divide our time with the veteran stuff too. So, you know, it's still tattoo related, but it's just kind of like that weird kind of niche kind of, you know, it's a lot of that's behind closed doors. So it's kind of like, but I'll be posting that because it's super fun and, you know, jumping out of airplanes. I just love it. It's super fun. So, and tattooing at the same time, like, these are the guys when I was in the military that would have been like when you're getting into tattooing, you're looking at the Steve Moores and James Techs, like, oh, I wish I could talk to those guys. And it's like these guys were, you know, when I was a private looking up to them, they were the giants in the military, and now they're all my friends are like, let's get tattooing and jumping. It's like, cool, buds. Yeah, sweet.
Oh,
So,
rad.
yeah,
That's so cool.
tattooing has
Very
definitely opened the doors for that, and it's been very, very awesome. So, like I said, Army guys love tattoos and all that shit. So, it's just kind of come full circle when it come to that, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's fantastic. It's really good to hear. It seems like you're in a really good place, and it's considering what your story is. It's great to see that.
Like I said, tattooing saved me. I love what I do every day. Travel to get out of my head, but I mean, like here in the studio, I mean, like I miss working with my friends every day, but I mean, like, I can get out, do my guest spots, hanging out, and get out that way. And I got my service dog here too, which is super awesome. So every day when everybody's leaving after their tattoo, and my dog just sits there and like just screams for them because he knows they got tattooed and he can feel it. So everybody pets him on when they leave, and they're like, "Can we steal your dog?" I'm like, "No, he's mine." But yeah, it's cool. So yeah, we're in a really good spot, and we're really looking forward to the future, you know, and just keep hammering out cool tattoos, and yeah, seeing where it keeps going, you know. So, but yeah, look forward to seeing you guys next week, and yeah, we'll see how that goes. And
absolutely. Hey, well, tell everybody where they can find you social media wise.
Mr. Damian Robertson on Instagram and Damian Robertson on Facebook, and that's pretty much it. If you want to send me an email, it's thewaronpaint@hotmail.com, and that's pretty much it. I don't have too much else.
And if they send you an email, you will not be answering it.
I do not answer emails. No. It's beautiful. I just make sure your tattoo is done. It's drawn. I'm showing up here pretty showered, ready for the tattoo, and my wife does all the heavy lifting with all the computer stuff.
That's awesome.
Perfect.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Cool.
So if you guys email, be polite because that's his wife.
Straight up. Yeah. She'll be mean. I won't be. I'll be like,
if you're rude.
Yeah. I'm like, I can't reach through the computer, but I mean, like, she'll like. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, cool, man. Thanks so much, Damian, for joining us on this episode. It's super fun to hear your story and stuff and get to shoot the shit with you.
Yeah, it's super fun,
yeah,
guys.
Man, it's been awesome.
All right, guys. Well, you have a good night. Enjoyed it, and we'll chat soon.
Cool.
Look forward to seeing
you
see you
next week
and seeing what's up. Bye.
All right, see you, buddy. Cheers.
It was great getting to know Curly and this amazing guy that tattooed with one arm. You know, the customer had to stretch his own skin.
So I did get blood poisoning from him twice. Yeah, twice.
Ed Hardy brought this whole Japanese influence into American tattooing.
Once Dave Shore come onto the scene, it was like tattooing completely changed.
If anybody could say anything about greaseball Japanese, it's fucking Dave Shore.
Salty, piratey, bikery, just hard not to do.
Man, he'd pull in on his chopper with the tattoos and the girls, and I mean, he was just like so cool, man.
He captured vulgarity and pleasure and insanity and recklessness.
Tattooer in the 80s or 70s. Just not the same, you had to be a tough guy.
I was scared shitless. Even though I was kind of a biker guy, these were bigger biker guys, you know?
I'm not totally sure you could paint the picture accurately to somebody now getting into tattooing about what it was like then. And the only reason I would say or I feel that way, though, is because they might not believe you.
We had the limo waiting for him with all the lines of blow lined at the airport. This is the way we do it in Canada.
In like 80s, 90s, Paul Jeffries was like the king of tattooing. It wasn't just in Canada.
Like, am I supposed to stop tattooing? Because if this is what I'm supposed to aspire to, it's not gonna happen.
Each one of these old masters influenced groups of tattooers who in turn influenced other groups of tattooers.